Well, hey, podcast people. Had an opportunity to go see Panic Stricken for the first time last night. It was my first time seeing those guys live. Had a great time. I'm paying for it today. Going out on a weekday. I'm just fucking getting old. Listen, if you're in Raleigh or Charlotte this weekend, go check the guys out. They're hitting on all cylinders. Ross and Jeremy from Sam Holt Band have joined their lineup as a second gig. And man, the band is just sounding really good. Raleigh, go see them at the Lincoln Theater tonight. And then tomorrow night, Charlotte, get your butt down to the rabbit hole. Thanks for tuning in to the show. It was my pleasure to sit down with Cam and RG. We talk all things music, Panic, touring, all the above. I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get on with the show.
Walkin'.
So I met Richard. Where are you from originally?
Originally Portland, Oregon. I moved to Austin in 1999, basically. My dad was a native Texan, and he moved to Oregon after college because he was sick of the. He's from like Wichita, born in Midland, moved to Wichita Falls, went to Texas Tech. You know, after he went to Texas Tech, he was like, I'm sick of Texas. I want to go hike and fish and go to the coast and go to the mountains and stuff. So he moved to Portland and pretty much born and raised there. And then I moved to Austin in 1999, 2000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, when did you get into Panic originally?
Originally, I got into Panic. So when I was in high school, when I moved to Austin, there was a couple key buddies that I met as soon as I moved out to Lakeway, which is basically the backyard. You know, the backyard shows in Lake Travis was basically our backyard. It was a mile away from where I lived in Lakeway. So when I moved there, you know, I was 13 and a half. I was an 8th grader.
About 99, you said?
Yeah, about 99, 2000. And I met a couple friends who had older brothers, and they were all into Panic and String Cheese and Fish and the Grateful Dead and all that stuff. So by the time I was like 14, I was already listening to String Cheese, Panic, and this was kind of in the golden age of like, you know, 2000 to 2005.
Shit was fire.
Where it was, put it this way, like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, we were listening to all that stuff already and going to shows and fucking playing hacky sack and smoking weed.
Sounds like my childhood.
Smoking weed and like, you know, doing the whole thing. And because it was just fun. And that's also, I played drums first and then I started playing guitar when I was 13 after I moved to Austin because I just kind of became obsessed with it. And so my first Panic show was at the Backyard with George.
Okay.
So that like legendary Live at the Backyard. That was my first show. And
what was it? It's called like the Bee Cave or some shit?
It's in Bee Cave, yeah.
Okay,
And Bee Cave is basically Lake Travis. It's at 620 and 71.
Oh, got it.
It's basically Lake Travis.
Okay.
Now it's a shopping mall.
Yeah.
You know, but it had a great lot scene. It was such a cool place to go see shows. It was incredible.
So you was that kind of jam bands, was that kind of the impetus towards getting on the guitar, or were you already interested in playing the guitar?
I was kind of playing everything, and at my, I was playing all kinds of music, whatever I wanted.
Right.
And when I was in high school, being at Lake Travis, there was, Lake Travis is 30 minutes west of Austin, so we're still basically in Austin. Mm-hmm. So there was just kind of a plethora of other young young guys and
Doing
girls
it.
that were playing music already. So
That's cool.
naturally, I was almost immediately playing in a band, and I remember back then, as soon as I started doing that, it was the funnest thing in the world.
Man, you got that tone down. Like it sounds fucking good.
Thanks. That's been a process.
Yeah.
It hasn't always sounded right to me, but I think finally it sounds pretty good, especially for the rooms that were.
Yeah.
I really like playing this type of room because it's about a 300 cap, and it's, a lot of fun when you just have a big rowdy crowd in a small spot.
That motherfucker was slap full too.
And it was full, and it was sweaty, and that's the best kind of, for us right now. That's great.
Yeah.
And that's the best way that we can kind of spread the gospel.
Yeah.
Is with a whole bunch of people in a tiny room that sounds really good.
What's the key? I mean, I saw your Soldano head. Is the key to that tone? Is that like the volume pedal on top of? I mean, obviously having a Fender doesn't hurt, but does the volume pedal kind of define Mike's tone?
To a certain extent, but with the Soldano head, the biggest thing is that foot switch. So I was using a Helix, and the way I got around it sounding really digitally is by doing this 4-cable method where I was running all the like reverb and the delay and all the modulation out of the back of the amp, and then the overdrive was always only coming from the front of the amp and the channel switcher, which is that Soldano. You kick it and it's boom, it's that great overdrive.
That shit sounds.
And then
so
I
good.
kind of I still have the Helix, but I put it away and I went back to analog, and now I only have basically 2 verbs, a Mojo vibe here and there.
That's
and
crazy.
The key is the real key is just that Soldano overdrive foot switch.
Wow.
So when you go into a solo, you just kick that thing on, and if you've got your amp set up right,
Richard.
it sounds great. I mean, for it could be versatile for any guitar player, but I think not only the volume pedal stuff, but really that overdrive is it's probably the biggest thing.
So how was that? I haven't.
The way someone touches the guitar matters as well, and so that that's the thing that Cam's not going to talk about. But like, in my opinion, I mean, you can have all the gear in the world, but the things the fingers do, and what is it that Miles Davis said? It's not the note that you play, it's the attitude of the motherfucker who plays it. and that and that energy comes through there, and I mean, like, Cam and I have been playing for a long time together, and just all the listening and the
Figuring out the licks.
I mean, you can figure out the licks, but it's getting that feel and like focusing on the feel of it, and it just kind of, for a fellow like this guy over here, he just kind of grips right into it, and so that's the other half of the equation, is how he attacks the notes, and that just takes nothing but diligence and practice,
Well, and certainly no knock on Grady, but Ross certainly has that panic knowledge too that really adds a lot of depth to what you guys are doing. Yeah, it sounded fucking great.
They're such different guys. They're both superb at their job for us. I mean, like, Grady was just such a showman and had that just vibe on stage, and he would hit these really cool grooves, and we jammed, and he was just a great, lovable guy, and fucking killed it for us. And we hated that he just wanted to move on and had to go. And that's just what he wanted from his life. And
I get it.
We love Grady, but Ross, dude, I mean, I was really lucky. I talked to Jeremy, who's played percussion with us tonight, but he's the drummer for Sam Holt.
Right.
And I visited with him over, for a couple of years. We'd send each other messages and laugh about shit and talk about Panic and, do drink whiskey and talk shit in the Panic a lot kind of stuff, But,
well, I haven't spoken with you since y'all got back from that Colorado trip.
Yeah.
That the whole sit and ski thing, was that, how did that go, and did it bring back a lot of memories of that era of Mikey?
It was a lot of fun. It was cold as shit, and it snowed its ass off, and all that was a lot of fun. And we made snow angels and had a great time. And we had really enthusiastic crowds that kind of varied in style, it varied in size, but they were all generous, and it filled up the room, for the most part. And there was what's that? Jam Cruise was going on at the same time, and then there was something else. And Panic. Or Atlantic City, yeah. And they were halfway across the country, but still, I mean, like, between those two things, man, it's like, it was all strangers, like, at our shows. I didn't, like, know all the folks. Like, I see all of our regs in Denver. But we still had nice crowds even without the regs, so... Yeah. It was good, man. Our fiddle player fucking jammed, and like we did.
And Martinez played with y'all too, right? One night.
He didn't sit in with us, but he opened. He played. His band played before us. So we got to visit with him, and it was really.
The thing about the sit and ski that we did, it was in the works for a while, and I was, Panic Stricken as a tribute to Widespread Panic. Hasn't really been playing bigger shows up until this point since about a year ago. And the whole sit and ski thing was kind of an idea that we had. But when we kind of boiled it down, personally, I was kind of saying, let's wait. I don't want to do this yet because Panic's still touring, and we play all eras of Panic. We play the new stuff. We love the new album. We believe that Widespread Panic is one of the only legacy bands that are actually writing really good music and putting out really good albums, and everybody in the band loves the new stuff. Whereas, some of the other bands, in the scene, you can't necessarily say that for. I'm sure there's some people that love other bands' new albums, but Panic is really crushing it with their new stuff continuously, always, which is a testament to just how incredible they are. So I was like, hey, we knew the sit and ski thing, that's cool, but Panic's still touring, they're still writing badass music, and we played a show at 310 in Austin back in December. Sit and Ski was in February in Colorado, and we were already playing all the new stuff as a tribute to them, trying to turn people on to Panic's new stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was kind of like, already, cool, we'll go play the ballroom at Cervantes because they want us there, but really, in my opinion, we belong in a room like Smith's old bar upstairs that's a 300 cap. Like Cervantes, other side, et cetera, et cetera. I didn't think that we were that, but it went off well. It went well for sure. We did great, but it's just that kind of thing is such a cherished memory of people. I just wanted to really do it,
honor it
in a right way, and maybe even do it on like next year would be the anniversary, right? It'd be the 30 year.
Yeah, that's right.
But either way, it was super fun. It snowed the entire time when we went to 10 Mile. It was a blizzard. 200-300 people showed up. We all partied. It was great. We got a great last night, etc., and it was good.
I'm glad you brought up the new Panic stuff because I pick around a little bit. Nothing to talk about, but. How different is Jimmy's style, and did it take you a little bit to kind of adapt to the new music that they're putting out, or just from a guitar person or player standpoint? Was it a shift for you, like to learn the Jimmy stuff, or is it just kind of a different method of playing? I don't even know how to word the question I'm asking, but
Well, when I joined the band was 7 years ago, so Jimmy had been in the band for a while, anyways.
Which is crazy to think he's been in the band longer than Mikey was. That's wild.
That's wild.
Yeah, and Earth to America and all that just badass stuff and Dirty Side Down and all that stuff had been around forever. So to me, when I got into the band, it wasn't really like, oh, I need to switch styles or anything. I was just...
You kind of came up on that stuff anyway.
Yeah, and there's just massive respect as a guitar player for both those guys that I'm just basically learning the songs, and I'll hit what I can hit. Well,
Yeah.
when I play solos, I'll do what I can do, and everything else I'm gonna try to nail the part.
Right.
The parts that got to be nailed, but I'm never gonna be Jimmy Herring or Mikey.
Yeah.
But,
Always told Cam to just be Cam Cummings.
Yeah.
yeah, but he was already around. The first show that I saw was George McConnell when I was 14 or
Right.
whatever. So he came in a couple years after that, and I just continued to watch and listen to Widespread Panic, and then I went to the 777 shows at the Backyard again with Jimmy. That like July 4th. I don't know if it was the weekend or whatever, but it was at the Backyard. I was at all those shows. So I've been, I was 18 or I was 21 or 20 at those shows. So
What's funny is I still really like Second Skin and Doretha and that shit. I love that stuff. They wrote some really good songs when that guy was in the band.
We amongst the band, we're all really big fans of the album Ball.
love Ball.
Oh, that's
Love
a great
Ball.
album. And it's the 20.
Don't want to lose you.
It's the anniversary today, actually.
Papa Johnny Road.
Yep.
Don't want to lose you in Traveling Man, and one of the things
Monstrosity or whatever.
one of the things that we always wanted to do, or me at least, was do Traveling Man and then do the slowed down fucking
Thin
what is
Air.
it? Thin Air.
Thin
Yeah,
Air,
like
yeah, that's a great
do
tune.
the slowed down Thin Air, which sounds like nasty New Orleans fun. It's so cool. And not a lot of people know about that unless they're on a
Listen to that track.
unless they're on a journey, that's an hour and a half drive and it's in the middle of the night and they just play ball and then they listen
It's a great.
to Traveling
good.
Man and they kind of get lost in their thoughts, and then all of a sudden you're like, what is this? And then you go, holy shit,
What is going on?
that's Thin
I
Air.
remember the first time I heard it, I was like,
Thin Air slowed down. It's so
it took me a
cool.
minute, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. When they got to the part where da 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 da, when they did that part, it was like do do do. I was like,
Yeah.
So this was the first night of this excursion, right?
yes.
Yeah.
Where y'all headed after this?
Raleigh, North Carolina, at the Lincoln Theater, and we're really excited about that one. We went there last year for the first time, and the reception there was astonishing. Like a
Raleigh's a cool
bunch
town.
of people showed up, and we weren't expecting that. Just when you go to a new town and play for the first time, you're like, man, I hope we get like 100.
Right.
Yeah, I hope some people show up.
Man, I was
Like 400 people came.
You-
And man, I don't know what it was. There were some guys in the band that got in an argument that morning, and it wasn't like a very chipper experience. And then and so load-in was really awkward. And and then we do our thing. And then the people show up, and we play that first set, and it was like everybody forgot what they were mad about.
yeah.
And
Yeah, a lot of times I get
we just raged.
yeah.
Fucking hit it.
Yeah.
And those people were blown away.
And a lot of times, personally, I'm a pretty grumpy individual, but that's because I'm at home, and I'm kind of biting people's heads off. And then as soon as I kind of get out on the road and start driving and we get into this whole mode, all that shit goes away, and it's just kind of like we're having fun again, and we're doing what's supposed to be doing. Anyways, yeah, that Lincoln Raleigh show was, I guess, a testament to that, because we were all really pissed off at each other, and I'm sure every band kind of goes through that sort of thing.
Did you just say Lincoln Riley?
Raleigh. Lincoln Raleigh. Raleigh, whatever.
Well, that was a big drive from Austin to here. What do y'all listen to in the truck when you're riding?
We listen to a lot of silence most of the time. We just
really,
yeah. I when I drive around, a lot of times I don't listen to anything.
We listen to a lot of podcasts about Iran.
So yeah, this trip was a lot of Iran, Israel, the bullshit that's going on over there, and who knows what'll happen. But to me, it's the biggest issue right now, currently, of our time. But people don't really want to talk about it because it's whatever.
It's complicated.
Yeah,
nobody knows
it is.
Things about it.
Anyways, you got Netanyahu over here, who's a fucking tyrant. Who's
for 30 years has been talking about Iran,
and Trump is completely in bed with Netanyahu, and that's the biggest elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, and everybody's talking about immigration and all these things that matter, but at the end of the day, what's the biggest issue? A nuclear bomb or immigration or fucking no King's Day? I get it. I get it, but there's nobody on the streets about about Armageddon. But that's kind of what we listen to, and we listen to some music, and it's
catch up on things. Yeah,
it's kind of whatever.
Listen to a little bit. Get ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Raleigh, and then where?
Charlotte. We're going to Charlotte. The place used to be called the Rabbit Hole. Now it's called Jack's.
Okay.
But everybody knows it's the Rabbit Hole. And so we just kind of been saying that's where we're playing, and
everybody knows.
Yeah. So we played there last year, and they literally, I think we were the first band that they had there after the change of ownership. Yeah. So it was very interesting. But they, they barely had figured out how to work their sound system kind of thing. And so there were some really interesting moments there in terms of just some sound issues that were really wild feedback wise. But we still, we kicked ass and did the best we could, and the crowd, that was there loved it. And I think, the folks are really excited. It's great to play somewhere and then come back as fast as you can.
Yeah.
While they're still oh yeah, we remember these guys. And tonight was a testament of that. We played at Smith's last year in the downstairs room and sold that place out, and we're probably sold out tonight too, or got really close to it.
That motherfucker was asses to elbows.
Man, it was sweaty in there.
I was really taken back too by, we're talking about George, Mikey era stuff. There was a lot of younger, college age kids just raging on that old Mikey shit. It makes me feel good that people are still digging on it.
Well, I was when we went and played, we played at Auburn recently at the KA house, and there were 1,000 kids out there.
No shit, wow.
It was wild, man. It was almost as big as the show we played in terms of humanity when in 21 when JB got COVID.
Oh, right. Because y'all had stepped up and did that show.
The fans were in town, and we played this show, and all of a sudden, man, there was just 1,000 people.
Boom.
I was hell yeah.
And I went out to get us all beer. Right now, we're in the green room, by the way, of Smith's Old Bar, which is in the back of the upstairs. Which is so. What I've heard is it used to be a Masonic lodge.
Yeah.
Each of these rooms, there's about 3 of them, was their own address at one point. Anyway, so that's where we're hanging out. And I went out to get us all beers, and one of the guys was like, "Hey, heard you play Blue Carousel." but you did it like Mikey after it. And I was like, really? Okay, cool. You know? But those kids were
jamming.
They were fucking 19, 20, 21 years old. And then the one kid's like, hey, it's my buddy's 21st birthday. Can you give him a shout out? And
Y'all did it, yeah.
So there's a ton of young Watchbird Panic fans.
That's so cool. I don't know another band that's been able to. I mean, maybe Fish. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of like,
yeah. I mean, the Dead, obviously. But,
yeah.
You know,
back in the early '90s when I went to Ole Miss, I had listened to the Grateful Dead before I went there and had Skeletons in the Closet, and I also had the Live Dead album.
Mm-hmm.
There was a double CD thing and had Jack Straw on it that was so really good. But so I went to Ole Miss, and all these young people were into the Grateful Dead, and from my hometown that was not at all the case. And saw, I got to see Jerry a few times from '93 to '95, and went out to Atlanta and saw him, and hung out in a big Dead lot in Stone Mountain, which was really fun. But that was when I discovered this generational following and all these people. And I think the thing that mystified me the most is just these people are just like, yeah, man, I used to work this corporate job and did my 9-to-5 shit, and I just got tired of it, man, and decided I wanted to go and drive around and follow the Grateful Dead. And it's like this 40-something-year-old guy, and I'm like, what? It just blew my mind. And now, here we are. Widespread Panic is basically in the same position, and there's all these young kids seeing all these old heads like us go and follow this band and do the thing. I think most of us, though, these days, the Gen X folks, well, I like following the band, but I also like being employed.
No doubt.
So, and it's just it's that thing.
It's a balance.
We're trying to do our thing and play as much as we possibly can, and like most musicians these days, unless you reach a very specific level,
right?
Or you are very dedicated to working all the time and learn how to live with less. I mean that's. Most musicians keep their day jobs and they just work their way around it, and it's kind of what we're doing, and we're gonna keep doing that. But we've figured out a thing, and people are paying attention to us, and it's very flattering, and it's both a positive and negative thing. As much positive love as you get, there are negative forces that are out there that try to bring it down.
There's two acts that I've seen recently that blew me away, and because I've tried to expand a little bit, I just Sturgill Simpson was fucking amazing.
Yes.
And Nathaniel Ratcliffe blew us away.
Oh, I love that guy,
hell of a performer. But who do y'all listen to right now? Who's hot when you're not listening
those
to
two
Panic?
guys.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of that.
Isn't Sturgill fucking crazy good?
Yeah, man. I mean, his band's cracked. He got his old guitar player back, and they're raging. And he
no set break. He just blows through
that's
it.
the thing that's the most impressive thing about
it's
him.
crazy.
He's Bruce Springsteen level. I play for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just play fucking 30 songs. And, it's impressive. Very impressive. I mean, I can't. My back would be so sore.
Oh yeah.
When I was up there playing 30 songs, but it's good. It's great.
What about you, Cam? Anybody hot on your iPhone right now?
King Gizzard and
Everybody's
really. I know a lot of people say that, but within the past couple of years, I've gotten super into them, and we're not just people that cover other people's music. I write music, and so it's fun. It's fun to watch. Just for example, those guys, and listen to those guys too, and just take notes and be like, wow. So them, and I listen to all kinds of stuff all the time. I'll be honest, one of my addictions other than vaping like a fiend is being on my phone, which I need to get better about. But
Me too.
I scroll reels all the time, and a lot of my stuff is musical reels, and a lot of times I see a cool reel and I watch what they're doing. I'm like, that's badass, and it's like really badass, but I'm like, cool, like, bye, on to the next thing. So it's hard to like, it's a little difficult to get into new stuff. I live about 45 minutes away from Austin, which is kind of a blessing and a curse, because I would probably go see a lot more live music if I didn't live so far away. But at the same time, I would probably also drink and party my balls off a lot more if I lived in town. So I get a lot more done, I think, being further away and not being able to go into town and see stuff. But as far as like Austin bands go, there's a ton of them. There's tons of great music. I really like White Denim.
I was about to mention them.
Yeah, okay. They're an incredible Austin band. They're kind of, at least me and Connor's and a lot of other people's like hometown heroes, along with like, well, the Toadies aren't from Austin, but they're from Texas.
I've heard that name.
There's a lot of good stuff out there, but what do you put on when you wake up in the morning? Sundays for me are dedicated to the Grateful Dead. As soon as I wake up, I'll listen to a lot of Radiohead. I'm obligated to listen to Widespread Panic because I have to practice all the time. If it wasn't that way, I would probably still listen to Widespread Panic every day or every other fucking day. Yeah. But I listen to, like, the Spotify wrap up, that whole deal, like at the end of the year, and you're like, everybody shares it, and I'm like, I'm not sharing mine. It's like 10,000 hours of Widespread Panic. And they're like, and you're like, why is that? Well,
there was an app that like roasted your Spotify end of the year playlist, and like mine had a shitload of Widespread Panic on it, and the thing said, you seem to listen to a lot of Widespread Panic. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But I think everybody goes through. Well, I go through phases.
Yeah, I do too.
I listen to a bunch of stuff, and then I put it away and
Yep.
listen to new stuff, etc. And that's kind of my thing.
So Raleigh, Charlotte,
Yeah.
and then home, or you got one more?
We're going home, and then we're not playing for a while.
Okay.
But in September we're going on a long run. We're going to start in Colorado, and then we're going to come back down southeast.
Oh, fun. Okay.
Do that whole deal. Yeah.
Well, thanks for letting me fuck around with the cameras.
Oh, dude, thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to putting something together. Anyway, it was fun to finally see y'all. I've seen you on YouTube and stuff, and man, I was blown away. It was really good.
Thanks so much.
Really good.
Appreciate it.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, yeah. Got a lot of good sound band.
It's cool out, breezing, stressing, relieving. Your impression, my reason, are only just in place. You're progressive, I'm leaning, so we can run in place.